For the first time, for the last time, until the next time. Curse you, Heyman! I'm John Rant with my review of the WWE Raw to WrestleMania 41 from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay, quick update on any future WWE-related content. Backlash, WrestleMania Backlash, wherever the fuck they're going to end up calling it, from St. Louis, Missouri. That will be the next WWE-related video. Any Raw reviews that I decide to do will be done when I feel like it. If there's a Regal Mystery movie and it's not a big show like this, by the way, I saw The Legend of Ochi. That was the Regal Mystery movie. That's why this video's up a little bit later than usual. There's your deal. I'm burned out. Been doing this for about 10 goddamn years, and you know what? Everybody needs a little bit of a break. So I'm going to keep a rear to the ground. I think that's how that saying goes. Check out what I want to check out, and there you are. I've got other things I want to work on. I got projects, and I just need a bit of a break. So, yeah, they had double the crowd that Stand Deliver had. If they just take that NXT event and put it on a Thursday, they will draw more people. And even though it's a week of WrestleMania, soon it's going to be a month of WrestleMania. Soon it's going to be 6 weeks of WrestleMania. So the talents arrive, including Heyman and Seth. Cena arrives with pyro and all that stuff. The new ring announcer isn't bad, sans one little flummox a little bit later on. And the Never Seen 17, that's actually a pretty good hook right there. Cena basically says, winners write history, you are not worthy. And talks about how, functioning relationships work. That's hilarious. That's really hilarious, given his dating history, but nevertheless. Hogan fears unions. That was a good sign. I thought the fans were chanting, we love Cody, or we love parties, but they actually were saying, we aren't sorry. And there were asshole chants, and that's good. We haven't heard that in a while. And Cena counts down the dates. He had 40 dates set. He's at 27. You say I can't wrestle? I don't have to. I just have to show up. When I leave, the title that Bruno Sammartino held dies, and you will have to start anew. You booed Cody, you cheered him, he was your last shot, your best shot, and now nobody can face me, and the last champ is here. And then Orton suddenly appears out of nowhere, Cinderella story, and RKO, and Big Pop, and there we are. So that'll be the last match that we get, Cena and Orton, and you know what, since it's in St. Louis, Randy's from St. Louis, that makes sense. It's also putting the pedal to the metal to really sell some more tickets for that goddamn thing. Not a bad event, but it was what it was. And then we see the former women tag team champions, that is, walking backstage. And then they are suddenly there, and man, Liv is out there without her pants. And Kier, I know that WrestleMania was a big goddamn deal. What is wrong with you, Kier? What is wrong with you? This is a pure show. Wrestling's a pure sport. Here you are, just absolutely destroying that image with impure thoughts. Why would you have impure thoughts? Who would have impure thoughts about women in wrestling? I certainly wouldn't. That can't be proven. But in all seriousness, Kier is actually a great guy. He loves Liv. Respectfully, he does. And she is, she's a very good talent. And Kier, you even got me on the Liv train. You need me on the Liv train and everything. Wait, that's not what you meant. You know what you meant. Isn't that right, Kier? Again, poor Kier. Great guy. So let's just move on from that. The following con. So the Pat McAfee crew were there. Bunch of idiots. Much like Logan Paul's crew, they really don't deserve happiness. So, Tatum and Gigi are just right there. What a pair they both had. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Tatum has embraced this dark, goofy, very, very interesting character, I guess I really should say. And Gigi, it's wild to think that I met her at the first indie show that I went to in Everett, Washington for a now defunct promotion. And she couldn't have been nicer. That was also back when her and Darby were together. But nevertheless, they're there because they get a women's tag team championship shot. And the cameras follow Becky and Lyra, who just won the tag team championships recently, very recently. Bayley's shoulder has a partially torn labial. I think that's what they said. Rumor has it, as Adele once said, that maybe Bayley might be going to AEW for contract's up soon. I don't know when her contract's up. Her contract could be up in a few months. It could be up in a couple of years. She has been shafted quite a bit out of WrestleMania moments, and I wish she had gotten a WrestleMania moment, especially with what the fuck we just had here in a little bit. But I wish her nothing but the best. She's in WWE for a while. I hope she continues to get big paydays and continues to look as only she can look, but also provide great moments. If she wants to go be with Mercedes in AEW and get a shit pot full of money for not very good creative, that's fine. So, Pat was telling Raquel to speak English. Okay, let me just jump into this because Pat McAfee's a fucking idiot, but whatever. He's going to eventually turn several shades of purple and pass out and hopefully not get back up. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, a.k.a. Paul Heyman, who is the size of a herd of elephants at this point. On the Pat McAfee show, Heyman said quite a few things. He compared Punk, Punk's personality to, or like Punk to WWE is what Shannon Sharp is to ESPN. Mere moments after, the report came out that Shannon Sharp is facing several R allegations. I'm not going to use the word. I don't know what he did. I don't know what he didn't do. But neither here nor there. If he did it, guy needs to fucking go to jail. If he didn't, false accusations, act accordingly. But doing that, okay, Heyman's, he's being edgy. He's being like Paulie in the 90s. More on that here in a bit. Because I guess some fan was mouthing off to him, and he says, who's the smart ass? You, the one that's going to get deported. Hey, amigo, I may suck, but your mother taught me that. Okay, so let's just say this. I don't really care if he's going to claim he was in character. Yeah, you should be able to jaw jack with the fans. Paul Heyman is at or over 60. And really has not looked healthy for years and years and years. I mean, he really is looking like Alfred fucking Hitchcock. He shouldn't be doing this. And also, so say he was playing a character. Okay, you're playing a character. That character worked back in the 90s, maybe even to 2005. Society changes and other things change. And I'm going to admit, there have been plenty of shit I've said. Plenty of stuff that I have said where I have said things I shouldn't have said. Comments that I shouldn't have said. Certain things that I called people, especially in my teenage years, that I shouldn't have fucking said, where I had to basically eat copious amounts of shit as far as backlash. And quite frankly, I'm lucky I'm still here. But I learned and I changed. You know who won't change? Heyman, because this is who Heyman is. So I don't really buy the whole playing a character thing. I think he just feels that he can do this because he has a cushy job. A cushy job that he has, while he sits on the pile of broken bones from all the bodies of the wrestlers that he had sacrificed years and years of their lives, their careers, by not paying them much of anything or at all because he was such a lousy goddamn businessman. And instead of actually just admitting that he didn't know what he was doing and trying to get investors or trying to do stuff, he took his vision, which, yes, people remember ECW fondly. Take a look at some of those pay-per-views. There were some great matches. RVD and Jerry Lynn was one of the last great, late-era feuds that they had. They had some good stuff going on in 2000 when they were practically going bankrupt. And speaking of which, yeah, sure, Joey Styles said that, okay, Heyman made sure that he didn't file for bankruptcy, so the last number of checks that he gave to the talents went through and weren't repossessed or collected. Okay, ECW owed like $8 million, thereabouts, in bankruptcy court. How many wrestlers were owed so much damn money? As much as I don't like Sonny and hope she rots in goddamn jail, let's just take a look at the fact that Paul fucking Heyman had Chris Candido and Tammy basically mortgage their goddamn future. They had a nice house and everything. They lost the WWE deal because Candido had a bad neck and stuff like that, and also that was talked about in Dark Side of the Ring. They lost their house because Heyman basically made them charge plane tickets to their own personal credit cards, and he would reimburse them, and then he stopped reimbursing them, and then their credit went to shit, and all that stuff happened. RVD was owed $100,000+. Tommy Dreamer is owed God knows how much. But then again, Tommy Dreamer also said what he said about the Ric Flair accuser, the flight attendant on that Plane Ride from Hell episode, and I don't really necessarily know if I want to believe much of what Tommy Dreamer says. But maybe Tommy should have done what he was actually going to goddamn do at WrestleMania 17. Because guess what it would have done? It would have accomplished two things. It might have killed WWE, but he would have been able to maybe prevent Heyman from reaping the benefits of a sweetheart goddamn deal that he got, where he got a 5-year no-cut contract. It was like $250, $300,000. Maybe there were bonuses. I don't fucking know. But he got a 5-year no-cut contract. That, now that I think about it, when he signed that, it almost seemed like the deal was for about 5.5 years. But I don't remember when he signed one for sure or not. I know that he was going through the bankruptcy stuff. But the whole point is, while wrestlers were going into bankruptcy, were on pills, some had injuries that they would never recover from. New Jack, because of Vic Grimes, that frickin', gigantic bowling ball head, motherfucker. I don't know why in the world that guy was ever allowed to be a wrestler. New Jack nearly had his brains leak out. RVD had his friggin' eyelid like loose from a goddamn table bump. Numerous other people suffered injuries and everything. Mike Awesome was owed so much money as ECW champion, he went to WCW where he could actually get paid. But, Heyman claimed that he betrayed the system. He betrayed the company. Heyman betrayed the company by being a goddamn lousy businessman and always looking out for himself. But, he was losing so much money. He was losing this. He had his parents helping. All the stuff's going on. ECW had to fight the system, had to do this. Heyman bombed as a businessman and left a trail of broken bodies. Now, he's not the only wrestling promoter. Vince McMahon did it to a much bigger extent because he ran the company a lot longer. Bill Watts did it. Jim Crockett did it. But Jim Crockett, at least, when it came to Magnum, when it came to Barry Darsow, some money would be taken out of the paychecks for the boys, and he would match it and everything, and that would help them, which is more than Vince did for a lot of people, and definitely more than Heyman did, whether he had the resources or not. If you don't have the resources, don't run a fucking wrestling company. They would have pay-per-views that would do pretty well. They would sell out of goddamn merch. They would do great business, but because Heyman had no goddamn ability to reel things back and figure out, hey, I should take care of these guys and these women who are busting their asses. No, he couldn't goddamn do that. So Dreamer was losing his goddamn ass. RVD lost his goddamn ass. Shane Douglas, who I'm no big fan of, he lost a whole bunch of goddamn money. So many people have so many horror stories. And there are those that defend him. And that's fine. And you can defend Paul E all you damn well want. Because he brought your favorite wrestling to life. And if you like ECW, that's fan-fucking-tastic. That's great. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, we all like different things. But I'm not telling you you can't like it. But his, Hall of Fame speech where he is glowingly talking about all the stuff that he did and how revolutionary ECW was, and we still chant for it, and we still cheer for it, and we still do this. And you know what? They echo ECW because they want to be reminded of a time when they could watch women be subjected to terrible things. They could watch a bunch of terrible, wrestlers try to do stuff that they had no business doing on a national stage. And they had some great talent, but they had people that weren't ready. Now, the whole point as to why I'm saying this, because Paul Heyman has so much blood on his goddamn hands, he's never going to be able to wash it off because of what he had so many talents do. A goddamn con artist, a charlatan, a carny son of a bitch. A guy that couldn't win a fight to save his life, couldn't win a fight against a corpse. A guy that would shy away from any confrontation unless that person was outside the room, a la Ric Flair and stuff like that and everything. I don't know what Bill Watts ended up saying to Heyman. I have a pretty good goddamn idea, which actually takes me to those comments that he said. Now, maybe the guy was mouthing off and saying something like that. Okay. Make a deported comment. Okay. Oh, it's funny. You're soft crybaby bitches. You wanted the Attitude Era back. You wouldn't have lasted in the Attitude Era. Bitch, I lived the Attitude Era. Some of y'all that say, oh, you wouldn't have survived the Attitude Era are barely 30. You weren't old enough to remember the goddamn Attitude Era. The Attitude Era ended, technically, I guess, at WrestleMania 17. Maybe it went on through the Invasion angle. I'm not sure when they count the end of it. The Ruthless Aggression era started sometime around, I think, May or June of 2002. The whole point is, you want the Attitude Era back. There are elements of anything from the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, whatever decade. Let's just cut it off around, say, the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression era. Say anything from 2005 backwards. If you want to bring elements of that and bring it forward, fine. There's things that you can do with that to recognize also that society has changed. Heyman will never goddamn change. So he says this. He says about, you're going to get deported. That would probably just be a harmless joke, maybe a little tasteless and everything, if we weren't currently under the rule of an administration by a criminal piece of shit that some of you dumb motherfuckers voted for because you're so goddamn cowardly. You deserve to have every goddamn loved one ripped from your goddamn arms as far as I'm concerned. Speaking of which, loved ones being ripped from the arms, people being deported, people being taken from their homes, ripped from their families, put through all kinds of atrocities. Gee, Heyman, didn't your mother go through that? Your mother, who was a Holocaust survivor. Your mother that was tougher than you could have ever hoped to be. Your mother that suffered unimaginable hardships, that was fortunate enough to get out. I'm grateful she was. 6 million couldn't. At least 6 million, possibly more. But he wants to channel that as a son of a Holocaust survivor. He wants to act like people being ripped from their goddamn families, being taken out of the only country they ever known, or those that have birthright citizenship, or those that are just trying to make a living, that aren't criminals, that aren't bad people. Because criminals come no matter what your goddamn race is. And that's one thing I think that people need to fucking realize. We got a real goddamn problem in this country. And it's not because people can't take a goddamn joke. I'll say off-color stuff and not really give a fuck because I am just one fucking person. That's all I am. I'm just one goddamn person. But he is a purported big fan of professional wrestling, a big-time influence backstage. And then he goes and says that and goes for the low-hanging fruit because that's all Heyman could ever do. He has never grown up beyond that. I hope his children grow up to be better people than him. Not that they're going to have to try hard as long as they actually pay people to work for them. Or if people, do a job for them, they provide a service, they actually make sure to pay them properly. Heyman wouldn't know about that because now that he's got so much damn money that's covered in the blood of all the talents that he had sacrificed everything that they ever had and ever would have for 3 letters that echo a niche product. That's all it is. So for Heyman to do that, you can call me soft, you can call me whatever the fuck you want. I don't care, fuck you. Paul Heyman, further proving that all he will ever be is a con artist Connie. He's just a fucking carny. Or a Connie. He could be Connie Nielsen. I wish that Connie Nielsen had been on the show. Would have helped. But the whole point is, Heyman can try to be this big, big influence all he wants. But he knows deep down, he's always been a liar. He always will be a liar. And he's never, ever, ever going to get away from the pile of bodies that he sleeps on every single night. His mother was tougher, stronger, and meant more as far as an indomitable spirit than he ever will. And I'm not going to feel one bit of sympathy for the day that Paul Heyman gets met with karma for all the shit that he did, all the shit that he said, and all the lies that he told. But he provided ECW. Many died for ECW. Many didn't make it a few years after ECW went away. But he did. And of all the people that had anything to do with ECW, Heyman didn't deserve to make it this long. But that's okay, because ECW. So anyway, go ahead and make a deportation joke there, Heyman. Go ahead. Go ahead. Think about your faith, and think about what your children are. Think about this administration. You know, deep down, you're just like him. Because you lie to people and won't pay them. But they come for others. Who's to say they won't do that? Because you're never going to be part of the group. You're always going to be an outsider. That's all I got to say. So, let's just get back to the review here. That took a lot longer than I planned. I was planning to make that a full video, but just decided to do it here because fuck it. And I hope that I angered every single remaining, red-pilled idiot on my channel, because you can go away. So, anyway, Pat telling Raquel to speak English. Raquel would have been well within her, and I'm not even a big Raquel fan, but she would have been well within her rights to just kick Pat in the teeth. Not that his pansy ass would have been able to take it. He's a kicker. He's not tough. Becky and Lyra against Liv and Raquel. Tag team title match. Liv Morgan wants to be back on top. Again, Kier. Pure show. What's wrong with you? Kier's a great guy. Seriously, Kier, if you happen to have watched any of that, I appreciate it. So the match was fine. Liv hit a bomb on Becky, and then Lyra got hit with a bomb by Raquel. We got a rope break later, and we got a miscommunication. The Nightwing got stopped in Oblivion for 3, and they're 4-time champions. And then Becky is, oh, don't worry, Lyra. We were only champions for 1 day, and then Becky clocks her and starts beating her up. Becky, curse your sudden and obvious betrayal. Here's what I would have done. Instead of having Becky show up and be a goddamn, be the partner, Bayley and Lyra go. And Bayley gets pinned. Okay. Liv and Raquel are gloating. Lyra says, I want another shot. I have another partner. Becky comes out. And then you have Lyra take the pin. Becky's upset. And then Becky attacks her. You don't have a one-day title reign. Bayley gets her moment. And Becky turns heel. And everybody's happy. But this is the second hardest fisting I've seen involving 2 Irish women. You don't want to know about the first, but always delete your search history. Tatum just watched her friend Lyra get the shit beat out of her. Did she have to go to the bathroom all of a sudden? Was she playing with a doll? Did Gigi distract her with her bright hair? I have so many questions. So, New Day come out to celebrate. Maxine starts to cut a promo. This is when I realized the power of speech and promo should not be given to just anybody. And Otis and Tozawa are there, and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. And I think Otis might have been better to cut the promo. So, lights out, and suddenly, it's Rusev. It's Mirosev. In fact, I may just start calling him that. It's basically just, it's Rusev, but with the Miro appearance. Miro appearance, as it were. Rusev just destroys the Alphas. If somehow Maxine had fallen, that just would have been better. I'm sorry, she's not a wrestler, and I don't care if she's trying. This is not working. Apparently, Lana got signed to a Legends deal, proving that WWE will spend money on anybody. So, though, great Rusev's back, and please stop with the Judgment Day. Please, just stop. I know they're champions. Stop. We got to get rid of this. This whole thing has been drug out long enough. Balor is all upset. Io comes out to a big pop. You deserve a chance. She's thrilled. Doing this. And good for her. Now, English is her second language. She did well. You understood. She got the point across. They didn't have it go too long. And then suddenly the music of Stephanie Vaquer showed up. And there are very few women that are as ungodly attractive as Stephanie. I mean, with absolute respect. That is a fucking smoke show goddess right there. She issues a challenge. Crowd's losing it. They're chanting La Primera. And issues a challenge. And okay, cool. It's about respect. She's a champion. Io's a champion. Pierce says, okay, you got a match. Okay, and they had a match. And you know what? It was a pretty good match. It was the best match on the goddamn show. There were 3 matches on the show. The show went nearly 3 hours. They had 3 matches. I get it. I get they weren't going to have that many matches. But Jesus, you could have had another one. Totally fine here is what I wrote down. Both these women, talented and just beautiful. I mean, Io looks great. Stephanie looking as only she can look. They can both work. We got Io did some nice work. Got hit with the dragon screw. Io may have tweaked her knee. And then Stephanie finally, smiling, doing the, holding leg vice thing, and just, God, I wish that was me. But, I mean, who wouldn't want that to be them? Now, that was good, though, and she had that smile on her face because she knows what the people want to see, and it's sad that that's like one of the moves she's identified with, but she knows. She knows they love her. She knows why they love her. I mean, I love her for her wrestling ability, but I also love her the back again. She's a fucking smoke show goddess. A German release that looked painful. Spanish Fly on top by EO. There we go. And it looks like they're cooking. They're doing some good stuff, and then Roxanne interferes and causes a DQ. And then Julia shows up. Jesus. I mean, just Jesus. The powerful genetics in that ring. And then Rhea shows up to a big pop. I would certainly love to see Julia and Rhea in the ring, and only there. And Rhea shows respect to EO after Julia and Roxanne powder. And Roxanne's going to face Stephanie the next night, by the way. And Julia's in the mix, so I'm all for it. Roxanne, by the way, Roxanne and Bayley should still have a feud, but it's fine. It's fine. So, an Uso package, and then yeet, and all that. Look, Jay's over. He's world champion. He had to win, and it's a good thing he did because they would have killed him dead. And he sells a ton of merch. They play the music again. He's celebrating. Here's Sammy. We get Sammy Uso chants. He's upset he missed the last 8 weeks. Thank you for, thank you, fans, but also... Jay, I wish I could have been there at Mania. I'm proud of you. Uso, all that. Sammy Uso. And then here's Jim Uso. It's a love fest. All right. Karrion Kross is upset at Styles for not using the brass knucks. And AJ's like, I don't want to be that guy anymore. I will say that the Kross promo actually was pretty good. What he did at the press scrum. It was the most interesting Kross has been in a while, and I think that I don't know how much of it was work and how much of it was him shooting, but boy, he really did look pretty pissed, because even Scarlett's like, I kind of like working here. I don't blame Kross for being upset. I mean, Kross is he's fine for what he is, but I don't blame him because he's upset, and I'm sure a lot of people are upset. Like, this Logan Paul stuff was fine as a novelty, and now it's worn off. WWE Unreal has no business existing. I'm sorry. We all know it's a work, but why does anybody have privacy in that company? Gunther shows up because he's upset at what commentary said about him during the match and what they've said lately. And then he goes to choke Michael Cole. I have never been more of a Gunther fan in my life. And then Pat stops him, and then Pat gets laid out. And his crew tries to stop this. I would have just popped for Gunther, putting Pat to sleep, and just taken out every single one of those idiotic goofs. Those guys that think they have a fucking bit of business, being even in a crowd at a wrestling show. But Pat, got choked out, turned several shades of purple. I wish it was for real. I'm sorry, Pat McAfee's a piece of fucking shit and deserves every bad thing that's coming his way. Better hope that money holds up and he doesn't have any scandals to bring him down. And the agents lead Gunther away. They're chanting, F you, Gunther. I don't know why, because they should have been chanting, thank you, Gunther, because Gunther actually did something good. Joe Tessitore shows up to call the rest of the show. Pierce tells Cole, take it easy, because he's an Eagles fan. And Cole's like, I think he broke my nose. God, if only he did. I'm sorry, but Michael Cole was really bad on commentary during WrestleMania weekend. He doesn't need to be doing this much longer. They're cheering Cole. I hope that Vegas loses their hockey team. Dominic and Penta had a decent match. It was what it was. Dominic's about as over as he's ever going to be. And Cole kept up with the bullshit. We're not trained performers. You're not a trained commentator either, despite the fact you've been doing this for nearly 30 years. Crowd is making it fun. Interference backfires later on, but then suddenly JD shows up. Lord Buckethead comes in. 619, splash, 1, 2, 3, and there you are. I'm glad that JD recovered from his punctured lung and anal bleeding. What? Wow. Heyman and the man in the yellow suit showed up. It's Seth and Curious Heyman. whatever. I wonder what Seth's Seth thinks of Heyman, given the fact that Seth, supports Palestinians being free. And we know how Heyman believes. So, by the way, if you have a problem with Palestinians not being gunned down and mowed down and missiled down and everything, you are an asshole and an inhumane jackass. So, Seth, basically just, talking about how he took, Roman's wise man, he took Punk's best friend. There's fuck you Heyman chance. And here's Punk. He comes out with tape. He tapes one of his fists, gets in the ring. He beats down Seth in the corner, and then Heyman tries to waddle his ass over there. And he needs to go away for 6 months and lose weight. It is seriously worrying. I mean, I don't care. He could pop like one of the characters of Metal Slug for all I care. But if his kids want to see him, after their college days, they may want to have him lose some weight. But then, oh my eye, I'm not supposed to get a visionary in it. And then a stomp. And a false credit roll. And I noticed because we had a few minutes left because I watched this stuff after the fact. And then suddenly Roman shows up to a big pop. He spears Rollins. He Superman punches Heyman. Heyman gradually falls down because he's never been able to take a bump. And he's set up to spear Heyman, and then suddenly somebody in a hoodie attacks Roman and spears him. There's only one man that does the spear besides Roman. It's Jey Uso. No, it's Braun Breaker. The Braun Stein Breaker. And then he spears him through the barricade. Roman, that is. And there you are. That's basically it right there. So yeah, longer review than I planned, but I went a little scorched earth on this, particular thing. So let's see what happens there. Go ahead and get upset at me in the comments. I don't really care. And yeah, again, Backlash May 10th will be the next WWE video that I do. So agree, disagree with what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rickland, and I'll see you soon.